Zora Neale Hurston, 1891 to 1960, author of Dust Tracks on a Road. Zora Neale Hurston was an influential author and a pioneering force in African American culture. Yet she died penniless and was buried in an unmarked grave in Fort Pierce, Florida. Hearst was almost entirely forgotten until author Alice Walker set out to locate and mark her grave, recording the experience in a 1975 Ms. Magazine article. Walker's effort restored Hurston to her rightful place as the, quote, dominant Black woman writer of her time. Early influences. Hurston grew up in Eatonville, Florida, America's first fully incorporated African American township. One of 8 children, she was, by her own account, a spirited, curious child who, quote, always wanted to go. Hurston's childhood abruptly ended when her mother died. She then lived with a series of friends and relatives, and by age 14 was supporting herself. 2 careers. Hurston began writing while studying at Howard University. In 1925, she moved to New York City. She soon published a story and a play, firmly establishing herself as one of the bright new talents of the Harlem Renaissance. She attended Barnard College, where her work came to the attention of prominent anthropologist Franz Boas. He convinced Hurston to begin graduate studies in anthropology at Columbia University. With an academic grant, she began a second career as a folklorist, preserving a culture. Hurston was one of the first American writers to recognize that a cultural heritage was valuable in its own right. During the Great Migration, when African Americans from the South migrated by the hundreds of thousands to the North, Hurston moved against the tide. She returned to the South for 6 years to collect African American folk tales. In 1935, she published Mules and Men, the first volume of Black American folklore compiled by an African American. Her work helped to document the African American connection to the stories, songs, and myths of Africa. The Road to Obscurity. Hurston achieved critical and popular success during the 1930s and 1940s with the novels Jonah Scored Vine, 1934, Their Eyes Were Watching God, 1937, Moses, Man of the Mountain, 1939, and her prize-winning autobiography, Dust Tracks on a Road, 1942. Quote, there are years that ask questions and years that answer.